Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lori Gagan, and I'm on the podcast, The Utah's Antidote, Wasatch Back Solution. Tonight, I am joined by Christy Judd and Nick Lopez, and we are going to be talking about the bypass in Heber. I'd like to say pros and cons, but quite honestly, there's no pros, mostly cons. So we're going to be talking about that. So we're just going to go ahead and get started right out of the gate. My first questions are for Nick Lopez. So Nick, welcome to Utah's Antidote. I appreciate it. I'm always honored to have you on my podcast.
I appreciate it.
So first question for you. What are the main differences for the people that are listening to our podcast and in the audience between bypass alternative A and B in terms of their routes through the Heber Valley, and why do you think alternative B was selected as UDOT's preferred option despite its higher cost?
The biggest difference, the main difference is one is going through the center of the North Fields. The other is remaining mostly on 40 until it gets to 900.
Okay.
900.
And can you just explain where the North Fields are for people who may not know where? It's over by the Smiths, right?
The North Fields is north of Heber City proper and west of US 40 as you come into the valley.
Okay. All right.
That beautiful
land as soon as you come down that highway and you enter and you see all this stuff on the right-hand side.
That is the place.
Okay. All right. So, again, going back to alternatives A and B.
I personally don't like the one that goes right directly through the North Fields. The North Fields is the heart of Wasatch County. It's basically the source of water that goes through the Wasatch Front. And I believe that that route was chosen, was always chosen. I think that everything else was smoke and mirrors. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that that UDOT and some city officials purposely manipulated the draftings and drawings to make things like the 900 North interchange look worse to the people, saying, "Oh, it's going to go into the Smiths property. It's going to go onto the left side." I think they when I spoke to Craig Hancock last night, first of all, I started talking to him and he didn't want to talk. He actually said, "I have to cut this short and go." So he didn't even answer my questions. But I think they manipulated those intersections. They made it look like this is going to be the worst option, and and that plan A was going to be the worst of the two. And I think that was done in purpose. I think they've manipulated traffic lights and slowed traffic down and deterred traffic on Main Street simply because the more they push that we're having failing intersections and all that, then that would make the public side with.
And on top of that, the lights are horrible. It's like, oh my gosh, they haven't even tried to tweak that yet.
No, the lights aren't timed correctly. You don't have left-hand turn lights that work all the time to get traffic off Main Street. Heber City and UDOT have dragged their feet about making right-hand turn lanes, designated right-hand turn lanes, where main flow traffic can continue going while someone slows down in the right lane, especially on 100 South and Center Street. There's no right-hand turn lanes. They literally make a right-hand turn from the travel lane, which slows and bottlenecks traffic. So I think they had some manipulation, or they have the ability to fix the problem without, destroying the North Fields. But I think that was their plan all along.
Okay, and I'm just going to make a comment. So Nick, you what position was it that you were running for?
I've run several times.
Yes.
I ran for county council 2 years ago, and then last year I ran for city council.
So you ran for city council and against Colleen Bonner.
No, that was for county council.
County council. Okay. And I think one of the things that Colleen ran on is over my dead body. I'm never going to let the bypass happen. And now she's a big supporter of option B, which is the most toxic, by the way. And we're going to talk about that. just the additional chemical poisoning that it really brings into our atmosphere. And now she's a big proponent of it. And this is my opinion on this, is that she ran on something she said she wasn't going to do, and now she's doing it, which was really just a false campaign. I didn't vote for her. I voted for you. I've been open about that. But I think that because she is in support for the people that she, the campaign she ran on, that she wasn't going to let it happen over a dead body, and now she's in support of it. I just think that's, one of the lying, thieving politician, the things I grew up on when my dad used to tell me with that. But what's the difference between alternative A, which for me, my understanding when I was with Laren today, alternative A would be the least toxic.
Of those two.
Yeah. So of those two, you're absolutely correct. Which route is the worst as far as toxic atmosphere, getting
Right.
into the water, ruining the aquifer. I have, from the beginning, have never favored a bypass going through any of that.
I remember that. You ran on that campaign.
I was very solid. I've been thinking, and during this last campaign, they come out with these things, and you really, they had already chosen, we're going to go down to these last couple of choices. And so of those two, I chose the one that comes off 9th North. Because that was the least, wasn't going to divide, long-term resident, historic farms.
Right.
That kind of thing. It wasn't going to destroy that, what we all love. But I'd still love to see them.
Right. Well,
of the two, they're going to, I think the one, Plan A is the best one.
Yeah. Or come up with another option. And I know there was a gentleman that talked last night, about a tunnel, which table, but I don't even think the people of, Wasatch even got a chance to hear about that.
Right.
$7 million for either option. How does UDOT justify spending taxpayer dollars on this bypass? And what are the long-term economic benefits of the drawbacks for Wasatch County citizens?
I think you misspoke. It's 700. It's over 700 million.
Oh yes, didn't I say
Yep.
700
You
million?
said 7
My
million.
mistake. 700 million, 1
That
billion.
would be a
It's
bargain.
pocket change.
Yeah, it's 700 million. And I think if you were to build it now, even though they're quoting $750 million, I think it's gonna clear $1 billion by the time they get it done.
That's
And
what
if the
people think.
contractors build it, and they build it like they build I-15, where they get large bonuses if they rush it through, it's gonna clear $1 billion right off the bat.
Right.
And I think that most Utahns did. We could use $1 billion on other projects rather than just to be convenient for those,
Right.
those that want Main Street to be this walkable
Right.
utopia.
Well, it's still a walkable, beautiful,
It is,
place to walk. I don't think
and you
we
look
need
at
to
some
put a
busy, everybody hates to talk about California, but if you look at PCH, Highway 1, and let's just take a section that goes through Laguna Beach. Beautiful area.
Yep.
Beautiful. They have shops, they have restaurants, they have bars. Their sidewalks in some places are only 4 feet from the road edge, for the parking edge, to the restaurant door.
Right.
They got a 4-lane road going through there, and yet they manage it.
Yes.
It's beautiful. People flock to that area, and I think we can still do that here on Main Street.
Right.
Without destroying our beautiful
Right.
beautiful area.
Well,
our
in 10,
Laguna
in
Beach.
10 years of construction, and I think someone put it in kind of like in perspective, last night about talking with this, that Logan put in, they've got 96,000 citizens out there, and they put in millions and millions of kind of something similar that Hebers, and it still hasn't solved the Main Street problem. And we have 38,000 citizens here? So if they've already done it and it's a failure because they still have problems on their Main Street, why would we replicate a failure? I mean, we're smarter than that, I would think. And, just another comment on that, because we talked about how it could potentially, I'm sorry, he just does. He writes the bonds. He's getting money. I mean, that's part of where some of the money's going to go. Somebody's got to pay something. And I just want to make that comment because I don't really honestly think it's fair, not only to me as a Heber citizen, but to the elderly who could barely afford to live here with the tax increases already.
Right.
And yes, maybe they can sell their house. Leighton's mom's a good example of it. She's 68 years old. She's back to work full time, trying to pay the taxes on that. Another tax increase, yeah, she could sell her house, but where's she going to live? Nobody can move here. Even the small little rinky-dink houses that they built over by that nursing home, by the railroad tracks over going towards Charleston, where I used to live, those things are going for like $1.2 to $1.3 million,
Right.
and you are literally sitting on the sidewalk.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So, you talk about the people not being able to pay their rent, having to sell their properties. That same individual approached me in a campaign event, and he said, "You don't have a plan. You don't have a plan." And my concerns were, I said, I said, "Scott, I'm concerned about there. Where are they going to go if this is where the route going to go through there and destroy their what?" And I was, surprised that this is city officials,
Right.
and these 68 constituents weren't important to him.
I'm further shocked because it's considered, Utah is a land of Christians, Mormons, other type of faiths. But for me, when people say that, it's like, how can you call yourself like, hey, I'm a faith believer, I'm a Christian, I'm this, but then you're willing to say, well, 68 families can just find another place to live. We know that they can't.
No, absolutely.
So last question, then I've got a question, I'm going to put you on the spot. How will increased truck and vehicle traffic from the bypass affect daily life, the property values, compared to keeping more traffic on existing US 40 under Alternative A?
Well, you have these grand farms, and I was talking to my wife today, and I says, I don't understand this bypass is going to divide. And I said, we listen to these generational ranchers and farmers that have owned that property
Right.
since Ulysses Grant signed grants, and I'm not a cattleman, but I know they move those herds back and forth across those roads. They load them up on trucks back and forth, and if they're going to divide pasture, how the logistical problems of just getting those herds from one side of the bypass to the other side of the bypass, let alone and make it safe.
Right.
They can walk them up under the underpasses that they're going to build out there, but it's not what they've had for generations. So that's going to affect them. I think it's sick. You start thinking about how much field they're has it been contaminated? Is it coming from some job site or some location that
And you look at like what could have happened over by Coyote Ridge, coming in and washing out, what the
hasn't been probably tested into here, and that to me, that's something somebody got to look at and say, hey, this is not good.
Right.
So I think it's just their daily operation, their daily lives.
Right.
Think about it. If somebody ran a one-lane road between your house and your back property,
Right.
and they say they're going to compensate them, but you can't compensate
Yeah.
a lifetime.
One last question before I hand the mic over to Chris.
Probably
the
me.
mic. Okay. Sorry, Jamie. We're working on that.
I think I've run 7 or 8 times since I moved up here 12 years ago. And I enjoy meeting the people. If I say I had a hobby, it is. I've met all you wonderful people. I've met so many other people, whether door to door, at meetings, whatever, people calling me on the phone. With those people and the people I met in the veterans programs that I've done with Main Street, and that, I've met so many families. I've learned their family histories, and it's just neat to start to walk into Smith's or to Lee's Market and say, hey, how are you? Or have them approach you, hey, I voted for you. And so, we took a break from this one. I didn't want to run for a county council. I'm doing my last year at the fire department. I think this is going to be it. It'll be going in my 34th year if I clear the fall. So I wanted to take this last year, and I'm going to miss the fire department. So I need to enjoy it. Go there and just enjoy it, and not have. So in a way, I take the the loss, and I don't call it a loss. I think it was a gain. I gained new friends and new acquaintances.
Right.
So that was not a loss for me.
Right.
And so, to answer your question, if I'm going to run again, I want to say yes. Because my wife told me, she says, if you retire, what are you going to do? You're going to drive me crazy because our shifts are 48 hours.
Right.
And so she has 48 hours of me not being there, under her foot. I'm as bad as the dog under her foot. So she says, you need a project. I said, so you're either going to get elected, you're either going to run and you get elected, so you have something to do, or you're going to drive all of us crazy. So either continue working in the fire department or get elected. So
I think you should run again and retire. What do you love about Heber?
Oh, I came up here 12 years ago, and it reminded me a lot of open space. Meadow wildlife was there, jackrabbits, all that stuff. So it kind of reminded me of that. Also the airport. We lived across the street in Sandy from the Alta Air Park. Close enough to the airport, I was like, it doesn't bother me either. So it's and going for a divorce. I wanted to get into Salt Lake City is a pretty dynamic place. 40-minute ride home from downtown is we're in our peace, and we're at peace.
So let me get to your questions. The bypass, particularly alternative and traffic, the main aquifer that feed residents.
Is the off-gassing and the aquifer. And also, if only the residents that live right there, it is going to impact the entire valley, and it's going to impact even the Wasatch Front.
Right.
So if Heber Valley wouldn't have for the roadways, it would have been but staying on 40 is still the best. The chemicals from the off-gassing will pollute both the aquifer, the wetlands, and the provo. So we should be concerned about it and efforts for those specific. It just doesn't get into detail. We are going to need to continually be asking about. This is something we can't let go throughout the process, that we need to ask UDOTs specifically, what are the plans? What are the detailed plans? It really is one of the greatest questions we should be asking about the bypass. We're in this open comment period right now until March 9th.
Okay.
The comments you can make to UDOT, and it's on their website, or you can email them, but all the information, if you just Google Heber Valley EIS, it'll pop right up.
Okay.
These comments and kinds of things can we help with, or concerns. Concerns are also good to bring up. Very specific concerns, like with the aquifer, and get into detailed questioning.
Okay.
So all of the Wasatch matter to everyone. And then the aquifer, of course, you can get at this point. So why are we...
Audience, where does the...
And I'm not sure I have enough information
Okay.
to say that specific engineer, but it is under Northfields are wetlands, and that's what
started was over there in the North Fields, which then you would water bill that there is.
So there are protections in place in the. We need to hold UDOT accountable. So
there was a gentleman last night who made a public comment about bringing in a third party to do some of this testing. I'm just going to say, we all know that Utah, is that we should be bringing in some of the bigger companies.
Also something we can put in the comments.
Okay.
Everyone as citizens is something that makes sense. They will respond to it.
Okay.
So I think
Really impressed, because out of all the people they were talking, they're with you. If they have children and they know about the chemicals that are going to be off-gassing, I think maybe they would probably second guess it. As Wasatch citizens, every one of you have people like Nick, or even our mayor, who obviously is not, she doesn't like option B, but you can't just think that somebody else is going to take care of it and just bury yourself in the, your head in the sand, hoping that it's going to go away. We all need to show up as a big group, because we are better in numbers than onesies, twosies, threesies on that. So for local farmers like Laren Gurge and others that are out there, as well as the homeowners in the North Fields, and Jill Watson and I next Thursday's podcast, there was it like a pretty brand new house. It was broke my heart when I saw it. But how will all of that daily life, the property values, existing US 40 under alternative A, but also, hey, they're growing the grass, they're drinking the water. So can you just explain to our...
All of the farming. There's no doubt about that. You cannot cut this thing we do now. The road width is a total down from Potter Lane, and we don't even know how they are going to irrigate on two different sides of a massive freeway from the road. They want the tankers on this road, right? Over the cleanest, endanger it like that. So there's just so many like that. You are going to affect homes. And I'm not going to, environmental reasons for agricultural protection areas on them, meaning they should in perpetuity, they have those rights in the damage, everything, let alone the view pollution. And the especially migratory birds, endangered plants. There's a lot, but I think we need to take the whole picture and not
Almost 100 billion at a cost. How many times does the Provo Canyon went into Deer Creek Reservoir?
Oh, we've seen that
with
happen.
all happens if, a truck going 55, 65 miles, and let's face it, they don't always go. But let's be serious. Hardly anybody follows the speed limit. So anyway, so thank you for that. To the Heber Valley Aquifer, we talked about road runoff and how they're fuel, but some of these people are going to be living right underneath the bypass. What are your
the board? I know we jumped ahead to the aquifer, but every single person living in this valley and there are, so it's the aquifer to the maximum. UDOT's own early scoping documents, it's not just the aquifer, it's aquifer is already in trouble, and with the growth that's slated for this valley, it's going to cause even more trouble. And if they put a road there and stop or dry, I think there is any, and I think we need to figure that out ahead of time before the road. So Clean Water Act, and it's the 404, they do have to follow that. Not if there's an environmental engineer out there, go to friendsofhebervalley.com.
Okay, all right. What is already contaminated in the Heber water system? HRI labs and Great Plains labs on what's coming out in anything going into our children and our grandchildren. But we already know that glyphosate is in our water. And I think that should be a public concern. And glyphosate, for those of you who don't know what it is, glyphosate is the active ingredient that Roundup Bayer puts in Roundup, or Bayer Monsanto, because Bayer bought out for $66 gazillion, Monsanto. But some of the things that already came up in our current water system that we are drinking, that we are bathing our children, bathing our grandchildren with, and showering with, is our acid. Heavy metal contaminations, again, like arsenic, it may cause cancer. And Christy, to date, he has been fighting all of his career, is $1. The husband and wife, who had been farmers, hazardous, both came down with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My girlfriend actually is a caseworker on that and works for the law firm up in Northern California. And they're not going to pay out the $2 billion, but they're going to get a large sum of money. I don't even care if it was $2 billion. Somebody could offer me $2 billion, and I would not say I would take non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. There is no cure for it, and the only thing that becomes of it is death, unfortunately. So now we have all of these other contaminations that are going to be coming into the atmosphere, our clean source aquifer. And unless we stand up in numbers and fix it, we don't want your poison. We don't want to harm the I'm going to let the two of you, Christy, go first. You've got a site that was just launched.
Okay. Yeah, I think overall, I just want to say our comments to UDOT do matter, and I encourage everyone to make those comments. Be very specific about what your biggest concerns are, and if you have suggestions on how to fix them. But we definitely need them to understand the level of concern here and to demand really rigid testing and to make sure that they are following the very letter of the law on these things.
Thank you. Nick?
Hey, I've got something I failed to bring up earlier, and I think it's extremely important. It's just as important as the Northfields, and that is the 1300 South portion of this bypass.
Okay, and where is the 1300 for some of us that still don't have the maps?
It's the
embedded
road
in
that
our
comes
brain?
off of 189 from the intersection
Okay.
that goes down, like as if you were to drive. It's in front of Walmart,
Okay,
right there.
okay,
Right next to the new credit union, this sits on that road that will be blocked from access. But there's 28 homes, I counted 28 homes in 2 different subdivisions that will now have, UDOT said it was 25 foot or 24 foot high wall, but that didn't account, that's where the road level is. You'll still have another 4 foot parapet up there, and then you got 15 foot tall semi trucks up there on a single lane in both directions in the backyards. Their fence line of these people's
Literal
backyards
backyards.
is in their backyards. They'll have the road dust, they'll have the brake dust, all the contaminants that come off a major highway, off the semis, elevated coming into their property. I can't imagine living there by the noise of the Jake brakes. I can't imagine having my kids safely play in the backyard, waiting for that semi truck that will come through that concrete barrier. We just had a truck on Parley's Canyon, which is where I work at Canyon, and blew right through the concrete barrier. No, it didn't even stop it. So those people have an enormous hit at the route. The 20-year plan or the master plan is outdated, and we need to update it. Well, you do have to update master route. So I asked Craig Hancock last night, this is the question he walked away from, why are we not staying on your footprint of 189? Why are we cutting across the gentleman's property that he was going to develop? Why can't we reconstruct and re-engineer the 189-40 interchange? There's enough space in there, and there's vacant businesses that haven't been working there for a long period of time. The Tunex building and the steakhouse. You got enough to make that the interchange. And why not keep it on 189 until you pass the Allen family rock quarry, and then cut across the sewer field? And he says, well, it's the sewer field. We got to preserve the sewer field. That's what he said.
oh my God.
And I says, what's the difference between 250 feet in the center of the sewer field, the amount of footing, why not keep it on 189? Today I was thinking, and I looked at the map and I went, they've talked about it since I've been up here about expanding the airport. Right? So if we put the bypass and keep it on 189, and I asked him, he says, you're only adding half a mile more of freeway that's kind of a little bit out of the way, not really much, 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
You're adding half a mile to your course, and you're not elevating it. What is that stopping? Well, we got to have free flow. I says, what about the 3 traffic lights there? You're going to have the one by the hospital. You had the one on Airport Road, and now you got one going into the next major road. Anyway, there'll be 3 of them between there and Daniel. He's discouraged UDOT because even if they don't move the runway left or right, or there's businesses, hotels, whatever an airport may need or want in the future as well.
Yes, I agree.
And up until this campaign, you really didn't hear that. So that's my concerns with those people. They need the
Right.
There's
course.
no question that
Right.
Route A and B have both serious issues.
Absolutely.
Route B has extra issues, but it doesn't mean Route A is good.
And,
by
and
any
you know, they
stretch.
talked about, well, Route A, we have to have frontage roads on 40. No, you don't. They got 250 foot of real estate that's not being used completely.
Wow.
And they could do without the frontage roads, destroying homes, taking out businesses, restaurants, by just adding an additional travel lane in each direction on 40. And then that's how I would solve it. So
Well, there you have it. Should have voted for Nick.
Yes,
Me.
I
You
agree
got
with
my
that.
vote next time, yeah. So, and I also want to, came out and basically people, that's why we all voted you in. The reason that people like Jill and others continue. $5. If you get $25, you 25. 15 ranchers fight the beauty of what it brings. It's not fair. It's not fair to them. If it's a .com, .org, and go in and donate whatever we can.
So it's can'tbypassthetruth.org. And this is a collaboration between multiple citizen groups that we are trying to just get the word out there and also trying to educate the citizens. No, we are keeping the information. We really feel like, I mean, we're not saying the South for all of these things and getting groups, especially in a health.
There you have it. That's a wrap. We're going to do the I want to say Lauren, but we know it's Lauren, Liz, and Karen because that's how we explained it today. So do behind the scenes. I appreciate you more than ever. We have to get it out, and we have to protect our valley.